Thank you, Kelly. Good morning. I'm going to take off my watch because Kelly said I had 10 minutes. Of course, I am the son of a Southern Baptist preacher, and that never meant a thing to him when he took off his watch. So I'm going to try to stay within that time frame. One of the things this morning, I've had the unique privilege over the past year and a half to work with an organization called Complete College America. It's an organization funded by the Bill Gates Foundation. And working with Complete College America, about 27 states have really made the decision that completing basically post-secondary is a very important factor. And they have done some analysis that I think is very appropriate for us to listen to this morning about our state. It sets up a little bit of what I want to talk to you about. According to Complete College America, 100 ninth graders enter the 9th grade. 54 graduate. 27 go to our university system. 14 come back their sophomore year. And 6 graduate. Okay, let me get that to you again. 54 graduate from high school. 27 go to the university system. 14 come back for their sophomore year, and 6 graduate. 13 go to the technical college system, or our 2-year schools. 7 come back for the 2nd year, and 3 graduate. Now, let me give you some amazing facts. Those students who entered in their freshman year, whether it would be in our technical college system or university system, that did not come back for their 2nd year, cost the state last year $254 million. And what it tells us, of course, is that when we analyze why that is the case, it appears in large part because the completion is not happening is because too many of them are coming and they're not prepared. And what I mean by that is if you basically look at those, about a third of the incoming freshmen in our university system had to take remedial classes. About 42% of the technical college system had to take remedial classes. A student who takes 3 remedial classes has a 3% graduation rate in our post-secondary system. Now, I say all that to say this, is that one of the issues that's facing us, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some things, is the fact is I think we have to look at the educational enterprise. And one of the things we struggle with in Georgia is that we don't always look at it as entire as an enterprise. As Kelly said, I've had a really unique pleasure of serving the state school board, the technical college system, and now the Board of Regents. And while there's a genuine desire to work together, the reality of it is those silos are just natural as they can be. And the because of that is that we sometimes don't understand what we need to do to move people through that process and through that system. And so one of the things we've been really trying to think about and work about as a group of concerned citizens is about the idea of recognizing we need to move children, have them prepared, have them ready, so that when they get to college or career, they are basically ready to get there. And one of the things we've been talking about, proposing, and I know the superintendent now talks about, is that we must do some kind of an assessment to know really where they are. Because here's the reality. We have too many children who are coming out of K-12 who think they're ready, and to their great surprise, when they enter the university system, as an example, or the technical college system, and they take the compass test, and they're told now you've got to take 2 remedial classes. They're in shock, their parents are in shock, and they spend a year in our system and no college credit. No wonder they don't ever complete. And so one of the things that we really feel strongly about is whatever the assessment the technical college and the university system is going to use to determine readiness, that mechanism should be used as early as the 10th grade so that students and parents know where their children are. So they can begin to talk about where do we go from here. In other words, this. If a student is ready in the 10th grade to begin to do post-secondary, let's let them. Let's engage them either in classes in the university system, the technical college, and there's an array of things out there, an array of doing that, but we must begin to do that. But on the other hand, if they're not, remediation should be the responsibility of K-12. They need to know where they are. The problem is once they graduate, they don't know where they, I mean, it's too late to send them back. I've had very few high schools who said, you know, we'll take them back, retrain them, and send them to you. That's not going to happen. By the way, the technical college system does have that policy. If you hire one of its graduates and it's not prepared, they will retrain them at no cost. That's a guarantee. And so one of the things I think we really have to begin to look at is this concept of the education enterprise and how we assess so that people know. And we have different tools. I mean, I was, this past weekend, I was with a gentleman talking about assessment. And the AP exam is a really great example of that in our system. I'll tell you a story about my two children. I had a son who's getting his master's degree as we speak at Georgia Tech. And he took AP statistics in high school. He made a 5 on the exit exam, but he made a C in the class. I had a daughter, I won't tell her I told y'all the story. I had a daughter who took AP in history. She made a 3 on the exit exam, but made an A in the class. Now, which of those am I to believe? Which am I of those to believe? And the point is, grades mean nothing for the most part at the end of the day. We don't know where our kids are. And so this concept of move on when ready means we should be assessing every child about where they are and move them at a rate that allows them to move quickly. Because we do know this, those students who take post-secondary classes while they are in high school don't do remediation, have a higher graduation rate, and it saves us a lot of money. And so there has to be truly this blending of tearing down those walls that we have built up for whatever reasons. Now, I don't know the complete answer to this, but I will tell you an assessment that I've made of our systems a little bit. And it really is, one day I was sitting and I was thinking about, we have 3 unique systems. And when you analyze the cost per results and the cost per student hour or whatever, you come up with some very interesting things as who's very efficient and who's very not. And I'll give you this to be the fact. Here's what's unique. Our K-12 system has assigned areas, but no choice. Our university system has no assigned areas, so they can go wherever they want to go. I think we're about to try to pull some of that back in, but students have choice. The technical college systems have assigned areas and choice. Now I'll let you guess which one on a per dollar basis is the most economical. And the most, in many ways, effective relative to those dollars. And the reason why, it is about systematic approaches the way you do education relative to that. And so when you really look at those whole situations, you recognize that systematically we've got to change the enterprise. We have to look at the enterprise as a whole if we're really going to make significant changes. And I will tell you a couple of stats of late that really concern me. We had over 70 high schools in this state last year that over 50% of the 9th graders did not come back for 10th grade. Okay. We have some amazing stuff that we really have to get our hands around. And that only occurs when we really recognize every individual child is important. We should know where they are. And guess who else has a right and should know where they are? The student and the parents. And when we've been talking about Move On When Ready version 2, it is fundamentally based on that premise that people need to know where their children really are. I know there's a lot about concern about testing, and I think that has to be evaluated, but at the end of the day is, what is the common assessment through the enterprise? And that common assessment then allows us all to know, and then allows students to basically, if they have to, remediate, but remediate in K-12, but that remediation, by the way, should not be based on CPAC. So the last thing I will tell you about Move On When Ready, in our opinion, is it should be based on competency, not based on how much time you sit in your seat. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If you have a child, any children, and in particular if you've got grandchildren, today they all play games, video games. And what they know in those video games is at what level they are. They know that. And guess what? They can't go to the next level until they comprehend and they are competent at the level that they are. Now that is not based on how long they sit and play the game. It is based on whether or not they conquered the level they were at. And the point is, that is in fact, to me, the transformation that is the opportunity when we talk about remediation, when we talk about move on ready, is that we give children the opportunity to move based on their ability to become competent in subject areas that really know they're ready to move on. Now, in my opinion, those are realities that can happen. Right now there's a task force within the university system and technical college to look at remediation and doing it away with seat time and to allow students to basically remediate at a pace that allows them based on competency, not on course completion. If we're able to show that success, I hope that's something we move through the educational system is there. One last thing I will share with you. We have about 30,000 people, excuse me, about 30% of our population, adult population. Let me back up and give you another stat for you. We have 9 million Georgians. We have 1.8 million Georgians that do not have a high school or GED education. Some of our counties have over 35% of their adult population that are in that road. Guess what? Those communities aren't going to have economic development. Now, that being said, only about 30% of our population has some kind of post-secondary education / certification. And the reality of it is, and the governor has made it very clear with Complete College Georgia, is that number needs to go closer to 60%. I will submit to you, the way we do it today, we will not get there. It will take serious change in the way we go about education. But I will say this, if we don't get there, we will not be a player in the world of time. Thank you so much.